Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Yvette Lugo. I am the director for the Area Agency on Aging, and I'm substituting today for Mary Yanez, your normal host for the show. Joining us today, we have Marcos Diaz de Leon from Caption Call, soon to be known as Sorensen. Hi Marcos, thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
So Caption Call, what is that? Help us understand what Caption Call is.
Well, yes, Caption Call is a federally funded program. We provide captioning services to anyone who needs captioning to better communicate, or in need of captioning to communicate. So we provide a phone for the home for anyone that has trouble hearing. It has a captioning screen, so anything the other person says on the phone will come out in writing. It's pretty neat because they'll come out in English, or if they're speaking in Spanish, it'll come out in Spanish. So it helps our clientele who are hard of hearing, stay in the conversation, continue to be able to communicate better with their person over the phone.
Very good. Does one have to qualify, or how does it? I mean, it sounds like a great benefit, and this is certainly helpful to persons in their independence and maintaining themselves in their home. How does one qualify or apply to receive this?
Well, it's a great thing. It's what we call a self-certified program. So for instance, I'm going to use you as an example. If you felt you were hard of hearing that needed captioning to communicate, you would qualify. You'd qualify yourself. The great thing about the program is we don't ask for any doctor's information, any tests to be done, or any insurance or any kind of income basis to qualify. So if you feel that you need captioning to communicate, you qualify automatically.
That's good. Do you feel like, I'm sure you reach out to community and promote your service. Obviously, here's what you're doing today. Do you feel like there's still a stigma? People don't feel like they need the help, but they probably know that they need the help?
I believe there's a lot of people out there who, might be a little embarrassed or feel that they might need it, but don't really want to admit to it. Or maybe they don't see it themselves, and you have family members that come up and, mom, dad, or whoever it may be in that case, you're not listening to me, things of that nature. So even if family members out there that you feel that have this trouble, we could help them as well.
That's good to know. Because I think, you're right. It's probably, sometimes we might be in denial, right? And maybe it's an adult child, caring for aging parents or a spouse, thinking, really need to get some help. Really, and it's more, I think, along those lines of using this as something that's going to help you, not necessarily be a stigma.
It helps out a lot of people, and what happens is it helps you stay in communication. And it makes you feel more comfortable, so you're not saying what, or trying to continue a conversation that you don't know where it's going. So it does provide our customer base that, confidence and ability to be able to communicate and feel comfortable with themselves.
True. And I think because it's in your home, right? Maybe that is also another level of care. You're at home, say in public, maybe that might be a little different. But getting back to, how is it connected? If you actually physically come to someone's home and help assist
So the
with
great
that?
thing, once you qualify yourself, we ask for just 3 things: your name, your address, and your phone number. And what I do with that information is I set up an appointment and schedule one with you. So on that date and time, we show up, we send what we call our trainers. They're the people who actually physically go to your home and actually install it for you. And we just don't install it and leave. We like to provide a red carpet service in the sense of we actually stay there and educate you and teach you how to use it. So that our customers feel comfortable when they're using the phone, that they're able to use it to their full benefit.
So kind of from start to finish, where you say, I'd like this product, I call and I schedule an appointment, more or less, how long does that take?
Usually our time frame from qualifying to install, we would like to keep it within 2 weeks. I stay with any of my clientele, try staying in communication with them until that's done, and making sure that they understand what date and time. My goal is to make them feel 100% comfortable before we do anything, and make sure that they're 100% wanting the service, and also not just needing it, but making sure that they understand that we're here for them in case they need anything.
Would you encourage that maybe they have, say it is someone who lives alone, that maybe they have an adult daughter, son, be there at the time of the appointment?
Definitely, if they feel more comfortable with having someone there that can learn it as well with them, definitely we encourage that if they like to. Again, we take our time and are patient with our clients as well to make sure that they get the full aspect of how it works before we leave. So we usually carry our appointment times within an hour to an hour and a half.
Okay.
Because the installation takes maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but that extra hour, that time is beneficial to our customers because we're there to help them learn how to use it.
So it's really just kind of another phone, really. There's no cost per se
So
for someone who might be a little leery.
Exactly. So it's a no-cost solution for anyone that has trouble hearing, that needs captioning. It's a beautiful thing because people think right away, oh, well, I need a landline.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you don't.
Okay.
So if you don't have a landline, if you have internet at home, we can connect it directly to your internet. And some people can't. That's okay. If you have a smartphone, any type of smartphone, we can connect it actually with the Bluetooth with that as well.
Okay.
So when you're home with your cell phone and someone calls you on the cell phone, both phones will ring.
Okay.
And this way, if you're having trouble hearing the cell phone or using the cell phone, now you have a better way of communicating with the captioning services that we provide.
Okay. So that's good to know because
Yes.
obviously, yes, it's one thing getting the equipment, but knowing, okay, I don't necessarily need a landline, but I've got a cell, or vice versa. You'll make it work.
Yeah, we provide those three options because some people might need that. I understand most of our clientele base is usually retired and they're on a fixed income, which is understandable. And we want to make sure we're providing something at no cost, meaning it totally being no cost, so they don't have to actually go out and purchase something else in order for our services to
Right.
work. So we provide different options to them that help them receive our services at no cost.
So is this something that's funded? Is this a federal benefit or a state benefit that you all are
It
able to
is.
provide this as a no-cost service?
Yes, great question. It is a federally funded program. It is nationwide, so we're available in all 50 states and Puerto Rico currently, and it's for anyone that needs those services.
Very
yeah,
good.
definitely.
So to connect with you guys or call, is there an office? Is there just a phone number that someone needs to call you all at?
You can look us up on www.captioncall.com or feel free to give me a call, 915-401-9210.
Okay.
I could leave that info here in case anyone needs to connect with that as well.
Sure. No, that's good. I think those are, again, when we don't know what's available to us, or maybe we're kind of leery about saying, well, maybe I do need some assistance. This is something that, again, adds to our independence, that helps us maintain ourselves in our home. Again, frees us from that stigma, like you said. Huh? What's
Exactly.
What did you say?
It helps people stay in conversation,
Yes.
makes them, stay on their day to day without having to use all that extra energy for things that,
Right.
that we can help with.
I think it aids in confidence as well. When you can
Yes.
continue to communicate with your loved ones, with whomever, that's important. Do you have any success stories or just a client that sticks out to you in the sense of this was a
Yes, I do.
beautiful connection for us to make?
I had a gentleman, older gentleman, and say in his maybe early 80s, very tough macho guy, who was very hard of hearing and needed captioning to communicate. So we went to install it. After everything was installed, he called me, and he let me know that he was very excited. I mean, this gentleman was very blunt, straightforward kind of guy, very man of very few words.
Okay.
But once he got it connected and reached out back to me, he was very excited. He started crying over the phone. He let me know he was able to speak to his daughter for the first time over the phone in about 6-7 years.
Wow.
Usually it was only when she would come in town, she was crying over the phone because she was in shock that she was able to speak to her dad over the phone.
Right.
And those little things like that, for her it was a big thing, and for him it was, because now they're able to stay in communication on maybe even a daily basis if need be,
Right.
instead of months without speaking or having to wait for someone to say hi for them or carry a
Right.
message for them because they just can't hear them over the phone.
I agree. I mean, I think if COVID has taught us anything in that, communication and staying in touch with people is so vital, especially for older adults.
Yes, definitely.
It's, an unfortunate scenario when someone is alone and isolates and can't communicate with the outside world, that this would be a wonderful addition for someone who has maybe some hearing loss or having difficulty hearing loved ones who are maybe trying to connect with them.
And as humans, we need that relationship, that connection between one another.
Right.
It's, I think, natural for us to search for that, and this helps people who have lost that due to hearing,
Right.
and are able to connect them back and feel more comfortable and confident when they're on the phone with their loved ones or friends.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Marcos. Tell us the number again, because I think we want to make sure everyone who really needs this service can connect with you all. It sounds like a hidden gem that maybe they're watching today can say, oh my gosh, I would love this to be able to do that. Tell us again how to connect to you guys.
So you can reach me at, easiest ways to reach me to my business cell, it's 915-401-9210. Again, that's 915-401-9210. Or you can look us up at www.captioncall.com, where you can see all this information I've spoken about.
Perfect.
And you can call me with any questions. I'll be more than happy to answer those and make you feel comfortable before we do anything as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Marcos, for sharing the information.
Thank you
Much
for having
needed.
me.
Yes.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And thank you. Stick around. We'll be back with an instructor from El Paso Community College who'll be sharing some information with us as well. Don't go away.
Hello, I'm Mary Yanez, Director of the Senior Adult Program and your host for Mature Living. You know, this show has been ongoing for over 30 years, and so we want you to watch. Of course, we come on EPCC TV throughout the week. On Sundays, we're on KCOS, at Public Channel 13. And so we also want to remind you that we are on YouTube. Just visit EPCC TV on YouTube, and you'll be able to see many of our shows and interviews that we've run over the year. See you then.
Hello again and welcome back. As promised, we have Dr. Jose Baltazar. He is an instructor here with the El Paso Community College Senior Adult Program, part of their continuing education series for older adults, as well as, if I understand, a part-time counselor with the first year experience program here at EPCC. But on top of that, you have obviously earned your doctorate degree in mind-body medicine and have authored several self-help, self-care books. And I think that's important because just in talking to you, you talked about how that's kind of your passion and helping people learn how to be better and take care of themselves, advocate for themselves, stay independent. And that's so important, especially as we age. So welcome, Dr. Baltazar. Thank you for being here. To start off with that, what is mind-body medicine? I think people think of that and they think, that's not real, that can't be real.
Yeah.
But there's actually science behind it. Help us understand what that is.
Yeah, there's a lot of science behind it. And it all started for me because I also work on empowering students holistically. So just in searching for a doctorate program in that area, I couldn't find it. So I ran into mind-body medicine, which is very close. So mind-body medicine has to do with this strong connection that exists between the mind and the body. And so there's research, there's tons of research done on the effect of the mind on healing, on health and wellness, on our body staying strong, staying, I always kid around and tell people, everybody knows about exercise and nutrition, but there's very little knowledge and practice on the most powerful part that we have, which is our brain and our mind. So mind-body medicine focuses on brain functioning, how the brain works, the biology of it, the physics of it also, and then how does that have an effect on my entire body, and all my organs, every aspect of my physical body. And so there's research, for example, that shows that the brain doesn't know what is true or what is false, and we're always thinking about something, and so those thoughts, the brain tends to translate into truth or into an outside reality. And there's tons of information about that. And so we use, for example, that's a strength that we have when we learn to live life, as we say, in a more positive way. And more importantly, thinking in a more positive way, in a more optimistic way. And because that has an effect over your whole biology, over your body. The brain controls everything in the body, the mind. So when you, for example, if you live life back and forth, doubting, getting demotivated when things don't work out your way and things like that, that has a big effect on your biology. And people are not, we kind of know it, but we don't really understand it and and make it a part of living.
Right.
You know, like if I'm worrying about something because my son had an accident or something like that, it's like we consider it normal. Because something bad happened to my son, I'm supposed to worry.
Okay.
But that worry causes a lot of effects in your body, biologically and physiologically. And so being aware of that knowledge and being empowered to think that way helps me recuperate myself from negative experiences.
So I think people can maybe, you worry, right? You think about maybe something more tangible that someone can attach to stress. Thinking about everyday living, stress, people understand stress. I think when you think, oh, be positive, people will say, you don't understand my life, that kind of thing.
Right.
But I think with stress, people can understand and they've seen that connection. Can you talk about that a little bit more with when we're stressed and that connection to how that might manifest itself physically?
Well, there's two aspects to stress. And it is true. Thank you for the comment or the question. Because we live with stress. Life is stressful by nature. Otherwise, the only way we don't experience stress is by dying.
Right.
Okay? It's how we handle the stress, how we perceive it, even on the mind, how I see certain events. So direct connections with stress, for example, and there's a lot of cases in real life actually. For example, my mom. I remember one of my sisters developed a very bad case of depression, right? And she just struggled a lot to recuperate. So my mom, with her worry and her worryful love for my sister and all of that, just like that, developed diabetes.
Really?
Just like from one day to the next. She started testing positive, high. And even when she wasn't worried, the sugar would still come out high. So those are connections to stress. And yes, perhaps it's a better way of sharing with people what about mind body medicine is about. Because every emotion that you experience, whether it be positive emotion or negative emotion, which is driven by events, it's either causes bad stress in you or it causes good stress. And even good stress, exaggerated, also has a negative effect on the body. So that's a kind of a clear example or palpable example of how just overnight you are tested for a physical.
Right.
And
It manifests
and then all
itself.
of a sudden,
Right.
your D vitamin is low. What is happening? So there's a theory in mind body medicine that every illness, without exception, is connected to some emotional event, negative emotional event that happened in the person's lives. And it is, science does prove that.
Right. So that if you could connect that back to say, it was this that caused that, perhaps, that might help us think about, well, what are some things I could do to avoid those things?
Right. That's what we do.
Okay.
That's what mind body medicine trains you to do. I remember one time one lady asked me, so what is this mind body medicine? And I said, well, it's how the mind works with the body. So it's visualization. And then she kind of ignored me, right?
Right.
Well, yeah, that's one aspect of it. But it's the strategies. It's like medicine. That's why it's called medicine. Because all these techniques that we learn to work with people are proven by science. Otherwise, they wouldn't call them medicine.
Right.
So it's how do I help a person connect and identify the situation or the instance that caused whatever condition they have.
Right.
And it's finding that instant in life and knowing how to recuperate from it to be able to repair in the present is what we learned in mind body medicine.
So what would be a technique that you might be able to help someone kind of walk me through a scenario? We'll just say something that our viewers can understand and maybe think that maybe themselves might be experiencing at this point.
Okay, so there's this very powerful technique called the movie screen technique. Okay, and I use it a lot for PTSD. Okay, and it helps most of the time for me. So it is a way, you pretend that you're in a theater, right? And that you're watching yourself in a movie. So when you're watching yourself the movie, your mind and your physics and your body is not as connected to the event as it is, as it would be if you're feeling it in yourself. So you watch this movie and you go back through your life, right? So just go in reverse in your life and identify all the meaningful events in your life and just notice, and through the state that the person is in, which is relaxation, is key, the mind tends to show you very clearly where those events are.
Okay.
And so the person is actually themselves say, you know, I went back over here, this is what I saw. And then after that, I couldn't go any further.
Okay.
So that's the event that started this illness, let's say, or this condition in your life, because it's used also for living life in other ways. So that, and then what you do, because you ask for the actual technique, but it takes concentration, which is what we teach. It takes focus, concentration, focus of energy, because your energy, you have to focus your energy in what's going on, what you're doing, that technique, okay? If you just do it like this, from my talking to you, it's not gonna work. Or if it works, great, but it probably won't. So what you do then is you live your life again from that point on to the present, okay? And then you live it in reverse. And when you live an event in reverse, you know, like a rewinding movie, right? So when you rewind your own life like that, quickly and fast, the brain, the information in the brain gets garbled up. It sort of like gets mixed up. So the brain does not any longer understand that it has to remain connected to that memory to create that condition that is being created now.
Got it.
And it's a very powerful technique. I use it a lot with people, not just with PTSD, but that's the strongest cases.
Correct.
I mean, it works wonders, but it takes about 20 minutes to do when you're guiding the person.
And I was going to say, I think this is something definitely that you have to have someone who knows what they're doing.
Exactly.
Right? Because there is a guided process through thinking back about events that might be very traumatic, that might be scary, but that you can, I think there's power in knowing that there was something that happened that perhaps is a reason to why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling now.
Right.
What about a simple technique? Is there something that you would suggest for people now sitting at home to do?
Like an aspirin?
Like an aspirin, yes.
Like
because I think that's
headache?
what we're so used to, right? We're just pop a pill, just, you know, but if there's something that you can do, I think you hear like breathing techniques, you hear of things. Is that part of the self-care with the whole mind-body experience?
Actually, it's what I was going to share with you. It's the very first thing we learn. Because how long can you live without breathing?
Right.
Right?
Right.
So then you learn breathing techniques to control your stress. And when you start controlling your stress better, a lot of things disappear. And this is how I got into mind body medicine, because I'm certified in accelerated learning 2, 3, 4 times as fast. And one of the techniques they taught us is you have to be able to focus your mind and be relaxed. When you're relaxed and you focus your mind, your brain learns much faster.
Right.
Okay? So anyway, I used to teach a class, a full semester class on this, and not just breathing, but other techniques. But a lot of people will come back at the end and just say, you know what, just with the breathing techniques, my back pain is gone, my shoulder pain is gone, my headaches are gone. You know, they would manifest all this healing in their lives, which are considered minor conditions, but over time they accumulate.
Exactly.
Right? So breathing techniques are very powerful. A very basic one is just learning to breathe deep. I teach 2 techniques for daily living. One is active deep breathing, meaning you need to develop the awareness and the consciousness of breathing deep frequently through the day, regardless of what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's conscious. That's very conscious.
Yes, but you can get that. You can get there because we function unconsciously. We just breathe.
Right.
Right. And actually, there's some research that says that one of the main reasons why people get sick and develop chronic disease is because we're not breathing correctly. We just breathe to stay alive. Well, if you develop the habit of every so often, and you don't have to time it like every 5 minutes, or just as often as you can, take a deep breath or 2, or more if you have time, but at least 1, and you feel the stress release. So if you do it with me right now, that we're talking, and I'm getting a little nervous, right? My voice sounds like that. So I can take a deep breath and go.
Pause
And just go.
Yeah.
Right? And that's all it takes.
That's all it takes, you're right.
And you notice how my voice changed, right?
Absolutely.
So, but just remain aware.
Because obviously we could probably talk this whole segment, this whole show, and taping several others, just focusing on those things that are so important. Any last words or suggestions for our viewers today?
Well, in this book, and it sounds like marketing, but I made it my mission to empower people in different ways. I do a lot of pro bono work in the community, so keep that in mind too.
Okay.
But what I've done through my experience and studies and research and using it with students and with people is I developed this, I call it a paradigm of living, which has 7 components. But the key component is right in the center is relaxation and meditation. Okay.
Good, very good information. Again, it's all free. It's all within ourselves is what I think is most important that we're taking from this. So thank you for joining us today, Dr. Baltazar. I appreciate your work and your study and everything that you've given us today with, like you said, free, that we have control of ourselves.
And there's many more techniques.
Yes, I agree.
I teach the classes, as you know.
Thank you for joining us today. I hope you've gained some wonderful insight and knowledge of resources as well as what you can do yourself. I appreciate you joining us today. Tune in next time. We'll see you soon.